Good evening, good afternoon, bonsoir, buenas noches, buenas noches to investors in North and South America. 我喺度嘅Mr. 안녕하세요,我哋ciao. 各位早晨 Good morning to investors in Asia. Buenas noches, buenas noches, good night, spokoj noche. Good night to investors in Europe and Africa. I'm Daniel speaking from Hong Kong. It's 11th September here and 10th September in Wall Street. This week I have three different approaches on Apple. Number one, Apple falls in every September. Number two, Chinese ban of Apple. Number three, Apple in relation to head and shoulders of three major indices. And finally, there will be stock recommendation to buy at low. Subscribe, like, and share. Remember to click the bell, please. Watch our playlist again so as to grasp the continuous trend of the market and refresh your mind. The product introduction of Apple iPhone every September is the focus of the market, not only on the stock itself, but because Apple is the leader of NASDAQ, its rise and fall will also directly affect the fluctuation of the market. Even in mid-August, I've already noticed the fall of the Apple during the product introduction is one of the best times for buying in. Basically, Apple is known as the king of stocks. When buying it, there will not be any wrong. This is the right stock, but should buy in at right time. People say it drops every September, so we watch it from this chart. This is the monthly chart of Apple in the past 10 years. In September 2022, it was a high black candlestick drop from $157 of previous month to 138.20. In September 2021, there's also a black candlestick that dropped from $151.8 to $141.5. In September 2020, there was a dark cloud cover. The previous closing was $129.04. The highest was $137.96 and closing was $105.81. In September 2019, there was a small white candlestick, but the closing price $55.99 was higher than the previous month's $52.19. However, the chart cannot show what had happened after product introduction. In September 2018, it was a black doji. The closing price was $56.44, a little lower than previous month's $56.91, but it started a new falling trend. In September 2017, the closing price fell from previous $41.00 to $38.35. In September 2016, we better enlarge it like this. It rose from $26.50 to $28.26. In September 2005, it dropped from $28.19 to $27.57. The last one is 2014. It dropped from $25.63 to $25.19. So for the whole month, it dropped 8 times out of 10. But for mid-September, no data was shown in this chart. According to personal memory, it dropped every time after product introduction. Actually, the focus is not necessarily on the whole month, but just buying in when it dropped to the low. Anyway, it is surely much cheaper than chasing high. This is a long and slow bull market, so no need to chase high. Better buy at low. Such a strategy will be more profitable than chasing high. The most prominent feature of Apple is that it had 2 jumping gaps recently. The jumping gap of this week is caused by the ban of China that all officials are not allowed to use or even to carry the iPhone and all foreign mobile phones into their working place. Actually, it is part of the unrestricted warfare on semiconductors. Huawei deliberately announced the launching of Mate 60 of 7nm in early September. In May 2019, Huawei was banned and cannot get the supply of chips of 40nm or under. But how they can produce the 7nm? Now they can only get supply of DUV machine for crafting from Poland. They will print it twice or thrice to finish it, which means the time and cost are twice or thrice higher, and the finished product could not be totally used. Only 1 out of 2 or 3 can be used, which means the cost is quite high. So it can only be set as second class or third class 7nm chips. Actually, the finished product is still 5 to 8 years behind the iPhone 15, which uses 4nm chips. But why it aroused the concern of congressmen to tighten the sanction of chips? They are not working for the profit of Apple iPhone. For 7nm chip can already be used for military purpose, especially in the anti-aircraft missiles and upgrading of hypersonic missiles. It is really a breakthrough, but just a medium breakthrough. Among the unrestricted warfare, both China and US take it seriously. China forecasted the further century, so they are decoupling with US efforts to ban the iPhone. The fact is that since the pandemic, the production chain has been moving out to India, Vietnam, and ASEAN countries. The demand of Apple iPhone among general citizens of China is quite great, for it is a symbol of status and icon of success in China. So even if there's a large jumping gap, it surely will be refilled soon. Don't worry. What we really have to mind is how the gap of Apple affects the head and shoulders of three major indices. That is all the indices show potential head and shoulders, but just potential. They had not yet formed the full pattern. And even if completed forming, we still have to wait for breakthrough. This means we have 2 more steps to go. Now we are just in the warning stage. We better study it thoroughly so as to have two-sided preparation. When doing this, please refer to my daily report, the US Stock Express. There's a comparison of 3 major indices with the Apple, for we can skip off Apple in such a case. Please give a free subscription to the Express so that you can know the latest market condition every day and most updated news of the world, but also can understand the background situation that moves the market in the column of world observation. Not just on comments of market situation, but also can understand the background situation that moves the market in the column of world observation. We also have electronic handouts and a series of 14 teaching videos specially designed for self-studying on chart analysis, fundamental and economic analysis. Please contact Professor Vitali for further details. By the way, any sponsor to our seminars, daily reports and videos are welcome with appreciation. First of all, we still have to mind there are 2 jumping gaps of Apple. This week we have 1 more gap than last week. In the last video, we only have to mind the top of the jumping gap, which is at $191 level. It is also the watermark of 3 trillion market value. It is the greatest resistance. Mind that there's another resistance at the level of second jumping gap, which is at $181.7, which is $10 lower than the first gap. In the NASDAQ, there are 2 jumping gaps at the same position, but much smaller, especially the second gap is very slight and can neglect it. Our attention on NASDAQ should drawn to the potential head and shoulders and not the jumping gaps. 2 necklines can be seen in the chart. The thin neckline chart starts from late June with a small left shoulder and a double head in July as top. However, in mid-August, it has a false penetration and drawback up to form wave 3 as set in video 47 at 202.30904. Now it touches the neckline again. It is not a genuine pattern of head and shoulders. Even if penetration occurred, it can be countered, for it would reach the thick neckline soon and will be considered as another firm support. So there's a chance of forming a large head and shoulders with the thick neckline. The starting point will be in mid-June as the first left shoulder, but the second left shoulder cannot form completely. It denotes a battle of buyers and sellers was fought here, and buyers won the battle, so the market went up, but also denotes selling orders and not yet fully executed. After the same double top, it fell down again and the neckline is clinging downward, just to show the exact selling power is quite strong and releasing in the downward wave of A, B, C as wave C the extension. So now we are waiting for the price to drop to the thick baseline, and when falling comes, the span of falling measurement should add on the angle of clinging downward. As for S&P, it is roughly in the same situation as NASDAQ. It also has 2 necklines of thin line and thick baselines. So we have 2 patterns here. The upper pattern is the thin baseline where the small left shoulder is completely informed, and it goes horizontally to form a head and shoulders with penetration and pullback, and now it's touching the neckline. The second head and shoulder is the thick neckline. The first left shoulder started in mid-July, the second left shoulder unsuccessful to form after going up to the top and down again. It formed a standard horizontal neckline and waited for the right shoulder to come down. When it is really completed, it is a standard pattern. So the last one, it is the DGIA. Basically, it is a multi-left shoulder pattern. 2 left shoulder can be seen from early June to early July, and the neckline is clinging upward, which shows buying power is quite strong. The top is in a round top, which means staying for a longer time than that both buyers and sellers are completely digested. Now it has gone down to form the right shoulder and is going to touch down. Head and shoulders very often are considered as the most accurate pattern among all patterns. But please be noted that they have false pattern and genuine patterns. What people say most accurately are concerning those genuine patterns. How to tell fake patterns from the true patterns? Please refer to video 27 at 2023-0417. There are live examples showing from 3 major indices of the market in the past year. So no matter how the unrestricted warfare carries on, there are some stocks worthy to buy this week. The first one is Disney, which will open a theme park in Wuhan of central China. That is after Shanghai opened in 2016 and Hong Kong in 2005. Why choose Wuhan? It is the communication hub of central China. High-speed rails and freeways intersect horizontally, vertically, and diagonally like the Union Jack. Wuhan is right in the center. That's why the COVID-19 spread out so fast. Now it is at a low and is worth buying. Apple, of course, is worthwhile to buy when it drops, for the cost is lower. When it rises from the low to fill the jumping gap, it proves it can stand fast against the ban of China. Please be noted that the largest market of Apple is in the US, and secondly is in Europe, and China only comes third. And the production line not only moved to India, the Express already disclosed it has established a secret base in Taiwan to make full use of high-end chips. Therefore, TSM is worthy to buy because it is rising from a rebound trend and just adjusted. It is cheaper now, but in the same position as Apple to fill the jumping gap. NOC is at low level now. They will keep on supplying weapons to Ukraine and not only supply Taiwan, but will have joint action to have some production lines established in Taiwan to ensure the abundant supply, which will be even better than the current situation in Ukraine. For ASML, it is time to buy at low. People know that the ban of DUV and EUV machines. Now they have developed the EUVL machine, which is the extreme ultraviolet lithography. They are still the sole supplier of the market and thus can raise the price to fill the sanction gap. GM is also at low now, and if the labor problem can be solved within this coming week, it is also time to buy, for they wish to chase up Tesla and just see how fast they can run. But at least they are rising from the low. When buying the above stocks at low, normally you have to wait for a certain period. Anyway, the cost is much lower than chasing high. Since this is a long and slow bull market, it is not worthwhile to chase at high. It will be more flexible to have a low entry. Even though CPI will be released on coming Wednesday, it is hard to change the weight decision of the Fed. The chance of keeping unchanged in the FOMC meeting of September 20 is 93%, and what we have to mind is the meeting on November the 1st. So again, subscribe, like and share. So you know what? I've win this in. Bye bye. See you next week.